Yo, what's up, guys? We're back, and this week it's for UFC Fight Night Volkov vs. Rozenstruik. We're going to be doing a full card breakdown and prediction video for this fight card. But before I get started, I want to give a big shout out to my sponsor for this video, and that is CashflowMMA.com. They have been doing really well this whole year on their MMA betting, and they're coming off back-to-back winning events. So definitely recommend them. I think they're one of the best around in terms of giving advice for MMA betting. And if you check out their website, cashflowmma.com, get a membership, I definitely feel like you will be getting a good amount back for your money. So I definitely recommend checking them out. The link is going to be in the description, and so go and check it out and see if you like their service. But yeah, cashflowmma.com. And then besides that, I just want to tell everyone to please like the video. Please put a comment down below. It helps with the algorithm. It helps with building the channel. I want to try to get to 16,000 subscribers. So if you are new watching this video, make sure to subscribe. I do a breakdown and prediction video for every single UFC card. And if you do want additional content, there are a few other events this week that have bets or that have betting lines. Then make sure to check out the Patreon. We're coming off winning over 30 units in May, so we're coming off a really good month. We're coming off another winning weekend last weekend with KSW, with Cage Warriors. So definitely recommend anyone that is watching this video that wants to try to make some money to go over to patreon.com/MMA Prediction Guru and get some of the good content that's going on over there, the bets that I have to offer. But we're going to get into the fight card here. I know that's what everyone came here to listen to. And with this first fight tonight, we got a female fight at 125 pounds with Erin Blanchfield and JJ Aldridge. And this is a really interesting fight. I feel like I'm a bit disappointed with the UFC, that it's the first fight of the night here. I think that, the odds makers, the public, they really underestimate JJ Aldridge sometimes. And I think Erin Blanchfield is a girl that the UFC should want to build. So I feel like this should be higher on the card. But nonetheless, it still is a good fight to kick off the night. And JJ Aldridge, she's a fighter. If you've been watching my channel for a while now, I like to pick her. She's usually the underdog. And with female MMA and MMA in general, being so volatile in terms of one night a certain fighter can look like a world beater and then another they look like a shell of themselves. JJ Aldridge, she's very steady. She's kind of the opposite of that. Every time she's out there, you're going to get that slick southpaw boxing style. Her takedown defense is going to be on point. She's going to have good jiu-jitsu. She's going to have pretty good top game. And she comes in good shape. She may not be able to make mid-fight adjustments. She may not have that high-level athleticism. She may not have that killer instinct to close the show. But she has great fight IQ. She has experience. And she has the boxing and the grappling in her back pocket. And she does get a little bit better every time we see her. She has good training partners and coaches to work with down there in Colorado. And she's a big underdog here. She definitely has a tough task against Erin Blanchfield, but I do think she's getting a little bit underestimated once again coming into this fight. But Erin Blanchfield, she's one of these young female prospects in May. She's 23 years old. She's getting close to being ranked. If she could beat JJ Aldridge, I think she'll be right there to top 15 or maybe getting a top 15 opponent next. And she already has hype. She had hype before entering the UFC through her Invicta career. She did well in Invicta. She was able to, I believe, win the Rising one-night tournament Invicta. And in the UFC, she's gone 2-0 as well. She beat Sarah Alpar, which was not really a super high-level win, but it was her UFC debut victory, and I'm sure it was memorable for her. And then she, in her last fight, beat Miranda Maverick, which was a big win. They were both young, and that was a fight to see who was going to be the bigger prospect, and Blanchfield dominated. She not only won both of those fights against Alpar and Maverick, but she got 10-8 rounds in both fights. So she hasn't gotten a stoppage yet, but she's really put it on both of her opponents. She's won 5 fights in a row. Her one loss to Tracy Cortez as well. The majority of people believe she should have won that fight. So I think she has the confidence of an undefeated fighter. And defeating Miranda Maverick, another fighter that was a hype prospect in her last fight, I do think that is only going to further her confidence. And Blanchfield, she's black belt jiu-jitsu, and on the feet, she's improving. She really likes to throw that 3-2 combination. She has a good jab, and she likes to pull girls into elbows on the inside, which I do like those strikes. Those are strikes that I'm a little bit worried about for JJ Aldridge if I was her camp. And Blanchfield throws that rear leg head kick really nicely. throws it really fast, not a lot of tell with it. And she has a great motor. She's willing to throw volume. She's willing to brawl. She'll bring the pressure. Her head movement is pretty good, but she does hold her hands low. She drops her hands quite a bit. And in exchanges, I do feel like she's right there to be hit. And J.J. Aldridge, in my opinion, is by a pretty wide margin the best boxer that Blanchfield has ever fought. And Blanchfield, though, obviously with the black belt, she has very good grappling. She has pretty good wrestling. I wouldn't say she has elite wrestling, but she's good at kind of taking advantage of opponent's mistakes. She'll catch a kick and get you down. She'll, if you overextend, try to take the back from standing and drag you to the ground. And she has decent takedowns, which she can back opponents to the cage. She, when she can get to the ground, she's really good. She has great ability to control, and she has killer ground and pound, which is something that with a lot of these black belts or higher level grapplers, maybe you don't see that really good ground and pound, but Blanchfield has that. She's a position over submission fighter, so she has, good ability to win decisions and just beat girls up, get 10-8s, how she has been in her other two fights, and it's kind of a safer style, obviously, than relying on getting the submission. And she has great cardio, really good composure. They call her cold-blooded for a reason. She's very cool in there. And I definitely feel like as she continues to progress in her career, she's going to become a problem for more and more fighters. She has really good training partners to train with girls like Caitlin Chukagian. So, she's getting a decent look in terms of someone that's going to try to be long, try to move and evade. And, Blanchfield has been able to kind of see that style a little bit. But, she's never fought it in MMA yet. And you do look at her record, the one striker that she's really fought, Brittany Cloudy, who's kind of similar to Aldridge. I don't know if she's southpaw or not. I'm not positive. But she's like a speedy girl that throws really nice straight punches, pretty good boxing, and kind of underrated grappling like Aldridge. And she won a split decision in that fight. It was earlier in her career, a long time ago. But outside of that, I feel like she hasn't really fought many great grappler or strikers. If you go and watch her fight with Brogdon Sanchez Walker, she was kind of getting outstruck in that fight. And Sanchez is a grappler as well. She's a black belt, and Blanchfield was able to get the takedown and kind of hold her on the ground and win the grappling battle in that one. But this is going to be a different test for her. I feel like J.J. Aldridge is getting underlooked here. I feel like the line is kind of insane. I think Blanchfield should be like minus 200, maybe max, not minus 600. I don't really get how you could line her as that big of a favorite, honestly. I mean, I don't think she has necessarily high-level wrestling or high-level striking. And J.J. Aldridge is no slouch. Like I said, she's a southpaw. She controls distance really, really well. And, she has a good ability to kind of pick and pull, work that counter game. She has nice pull twos, good 1-2s. She has a decent ability to kick. I feel like in this fight, just like she did in her last matchup against Jillian Robertson, which I feel like is a kind of similar fight to Blanchfield, just use your hands, kind of minimize the kicks, because she has like a karate, taekwondo background. I'm not sure which one, but she has some pretty good side kicks, and she'll throw some nice leg kicks. And I feel like in this fight, just work the boxing, use your lateral movement, don't get stuck against the cage. And J.J. Aldridge is really pretty good at that. She doesn't really usually allow girls to back her up. She doesn't get into brawls. She has a pretty smart style. And another thing that Aldridge has shown is she has underrated grappling. Her takedown defense is really good. She has a nice sprawl. She, with her ability to control distance, makes it really hard for girls to just take her down in general. And I don't think she's going to throw a naked kick or, get overextended and give Blanchfield those easy takedowns that other opponents have given Blanchfield. You look at J.J. Aldridge's, stats. She hasn't been taken down more than one time in a fight since her UFC debut in 2016. So she's been able to beat girls that are good grapplers. She beat Poliana Viana. She beat Jillian Robertson. She's beaten Vanessa Demopoulos. So she's beaten some black belt girls. And, she's shown that, even when Jillian Robertson took her back in her last fight, she was able to turn in, get on top really quickly. And Aldridge is strong in the clinch and strong on the ground because she has good head positioning. She does a good job staying really tight. She doesn't really give a lot of opportunities to catch the submission, and she just stays really heavy and controls the position and kind of, you could say she's stalling you out, but she's winning the fight that way, and she's kind of negating whatever you're trying to do on the ground. And I just don't really agree with this line whatsoever. I mean, Blanchfield, like I said, hasn't been tested against this style. And JJ Aldridge has been a girl that's been in the UFC for a long time. She's kind of getting into her prime now, 29. She, has won 4 or 5 fights. She's fought higher level competition. And I feel like this line should just be much closer. I'm not saying that Aldridge is definitely going to win. And I do believe that if this line was, closer to what I thought it should be, with Blanchfield minus 175, Blanchfield minus 200 or so, I probably would side with Blanchfield as the pick. But with the line being so out of whack, man, with her being a minus 600, this is a betting channel. So I'm going to be picking JJ Aldridge to win this fight via decision. I think she can use her lateral movement. I think she can use her pull twos, her boxing. I think if they get in exchanges, she could land the harder shots and make Blanchfield a little bit hesitant. I think she has good takedown defense, good submission defense, good ability to turn in and get on top, or create a sweep and get on top, or get back to her feet if she does get taken down. I think she has the experience advantage. And so I'm going to go with JJ Aldridge to win this fight by decision. I just think that Blanchfield's too big of a favorite in this one. I feel like she should be, like you said, minus 200-ish. And I can't get with it at minus 600. So give me JJ Aldridge in this one, once again, to pull off her 3rd or 4th upset in the UFC and get the win by decision. And up next here, we got a fight, and Tapology says it's at welterweight. I know both these guys fought at middleweight in their last fight, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to take it as both these guys are going to be dropping down to 175 or 170 pounds to fight each other. And we got a UFC debutant here in Rinat Fakhretdinov. He got signed to the UFC over a year ago. He got signed after performing on the Dana White Looking for a Fight show. He knocked out Eric Spicely in 55 seconds and got signed off that performance. And I don't know if it was a USADA issue, because they don't tell us about those USADA issues anymore unless the athlete decides to. But he hasn't fought since January of 2021. And if you look at his record, he does have a very padded record. He, has issues of getting a lot of quality opponents, I believe, because he fought in Russia and he fought in the Middle East in quite a few of his fights. And he refuses to fight Muslim fighters. So he even gave up his Guerrilla FC title due to not wanting to fight that competition over there. So I feel like maybe that's why he hasn't fought great opponents, or maybe he's just trying to pad his record. But he, has fought 21 times. 8 of his victories have came against fighters with 0 wins. He's beaten 5 other fighters who had less than 5 fights total in their career. And in his 21 fight career, he's only really, I would say, faced 5 quality opponents, and he's 3-2 in those 5 fights. He had 2 losses early on to a 6-1 fighter, then he lost to a 7-1 fighter in 2014, and since then he's he's won all of his fights since then, and he's gone on a 14 fight win streak. So he is definitely on a lot of momentum, but I feel like against Andreas Michailidis, it's kind of a good opponent to ease his way into the UFC, but I do have a lot of questions about Fakhretdinov. He does have a long frame, and he does a pretty good job of staying long with his crosses, front kicks, round kicks, but he's very wild. He is just brawling with his chin right in the air, and he kind of wants guys to throw at him so he can level change and get the takedown, so he's willing to kind of just wane in and be aggressive with his combinations, and it does work. I mean, obviously, because he can get guys to, respect his brawling, throw back at him, and then he could take him down. But eventually that is going to get him into trouble and get him knocked out, I believe. And he does stand very heavy on his lead leg. Just striking defense needs to improve. But he's a good wrestler, and he has good takedowns, especially against the cage. He has pretty good singles, doubles in the middle of the octagon as well. And when he gets on top, I have noticed that in certain fights, he does like to just lay and pray in the full guard. And he is good when he can get the back. He has quite a few finishes from there. He has pretty decent guillotines. Ground and pound is okay when he can get in dominant positions. And if you watch his last fight, he got a quick 55-second knockout on the feet. So he probably does have some all right power in his hands if he can connect. But I feel like This is going to be his first fight in the United States, and this is going to be a better opponent than the majority of the fighters that Fakhretdinov has fought in his career. Michailidis, you know, on the feet, he isn't great, but he has pretty good footwork. He moves well for a big fighter. He throws nice leg kicks, overhands, and he gets really wild as well. It doesn't have good defense, overextends, gives up takedowns. So I feel like on the feet, actually, you know, Fakhretdinov could get clipped by Michailidis, obviously, but I don't see Michailidis having that top-end power, so I don't see him getting the knockout as like a high likelihood scenario. But I think that just Michailidis style, Fakhretdinov will be able to compete on the feet. And the grappling will be interesting, though, because Michailidis has underrated grappling. He has good jiu-jitsu off his back. He's not easy to take down. He isn't easy to hold down either. And he also, you know, has pretty good sweeps. He can get on top and has good control on top. I've seen him, you know, in jiu-jitsu matches against some pretty high-level jiu-jitsu guys, and he's been able to hold his own in there. So I feel like his grappling is a little bit underrated. He doesn't have good wrestling, but I am curious to see if Fakhretdinov thinks maybe he should just strike with this guy early, get him tired, and then wrestle, or if he just decides to jump to the grappling right away. Because one thing about Michailidis that I do think Fakhretdinov has an advantage over him in is the cardio department. Michailidis slows down. And due to that, that's why I'm going to take Fakhretdinov. I think early on, maybe it'll be competitive on the feet, and I think maybe Michailidis could sweep, get on top, and maybe kind of get you a little bit nervous in the first round, but I think after that he'll be tired, and I think Fakhretdinov will take advantage of that and either find the finish in the second or third or win a clear-cut decision. But I'll say Fakhretdinov gets a decision win here because I don't really see it likely that he gets a submission. And this is another fight that I'm pretty excited about. This is a sleeper fight here on the card with Jeff Molina taking on Zhalgas Zhumagulov. And, you know, it's kind of a step-up fight for Jeff Molina. Molina is one of the better prospects at flyweight. He's answered the call. He's won both of his UFC fights so far to start off his career. And he's won 9 fights in a row. He's finished 7 of those 9 fights, so he's been entertaining as well. And he's not been facing a lot of high-level competition, but he did get a win over Arichi Lang, which is a very good win and his best victory by far. Outside of that win, it's been mainly journeyman, kind of inexperienced opponents for Molina. Molina's last loss came when he was 1-1. He lost to Nate Smith, and he also lost his pro debut via submission. He hasn't fought a wrestler yet in the UFC, and if I was Zhumagulov, I would test his grappling here. And Zhumagulov, he's fought much higher level competition. He's been facing the top flyweights for years now. He, even before he joined the UFC, fought really good guys, but in the UFC, he's had a rough road. He's fought Holly and Paiva, he fought Amir Albazi, he fought Manel Kape. All those guys are high level. I believe all those guys have been ranked in the UFC at one point. And even before joining the UFC, as I said, he fought Ali Bagotinov, a guy that fought for the UFC title, Tagir Ulanbekov, someone that's in the UFC right now, Tyson Nam, someone that's in the UFC right now, and he fought some other names as well. And he was able to beat all those fighters outside the UFC, although the decisions were a little bit suspect. In the UFC, Zhumagulov, he is 1-3, and the UFC hasn't really prioritized him. Most of the time, he's getting thrown in there with a young fighter who they're trying to see if they can build off of him. His last fight, they put him in there with Manel Kape, kind of a tune-up fight for Manel Kape, and Manel Kape got the first-round knockout, so he has his back against the line. He got knocked out in his last fight, only won 1 out of his first 3 UFC fights. So Zhumagulov, I noticed, came over to American Top Team, which is something I like seeing. He's going to be training with some beast over there. And he has to come in the best shape of his life, have a great game plan, and, you know, do the business if he wants to stay in the UFC. And he's going to have to do it against a young, improving, you know, up-and-coming guy. Jeff Molina, you know, very technical striking. He has really good footwork. He could switch stances, really good feinting, faking, giving different looks. And I feel like he's going to want to be on his feint game in this fight to try to draw out the counters to Zhumagulov and then counter the counter. Molina, he needs to attack the leg kicks a lot, try to walk Zhumagulov into his jabs, his crosses. He has a really amazing jab, super fast. He is a very accurate guy, and when he gets his hand combinations going, gets his distance, he gets really fun to watch. He has great boxing. He'll mix up the target, throw a lot of volume, very sharp touching punches. He doesn't really throw with a lot of power. He's more about kind of, you know, landing in combination, and then he has power more due to his accuracy and pulling fighters into his big shots, moving backwards. I've noticed on the inside is dangerous as well because he'll mix in knees, he'll mix in elbows. He throws pretty nice kicks as well, nice leg kicks. He has good switch kicks to the head and great composure, great cardio. He's a little bit hittable. Sometimes I've seen him kind of stick in the pocket in exchanges and, bite on his mouthpiece and want to get into a brawl when it's unnecessary. We saw that in his fight against Ayuchi Lang, and, that was almost bad for him because he got rocked in the last 10 seconds of the fight and was, close to being put out in a fight that he was clearly going to win the decision. And, thankfully for him, he made it. He's tough. He's Mexican. He has a chin. And that's something that I think he has to correct a little bit, though, because he doesn't need to be getting in unnecessary brawls and things like that, especially when he's dominating the fight. But one thing, like I said earlier in the breakdown, is I haven't really seen Jeff Molina face many good wrestlers or grapplers. I wasn't able to locate his first fight or his third fight, which are 2 losses against grapplers, but I did see a fight of his when he fought Ken Porter, and Ken Porter was able to take him down early. He was able to pass Molina's guard. He let Porter hold him down for basically almost the entirety of the round, and when he tried to get up, he gave his back. Porter took the back, got the hooks in, and was able to clearly win the first round by grinding out Jeff Molina. When he fought as well against Daniel Da Silva, and in his first UFC fight against Ayuchi Lang, he got taken down in both those fights as well. Daniel Da Silva was able to take the back of Molina early, had him in some armbar trouble, but Silva is a submission over position fighter. If you saw my breakdown of him against Francisco Figueiredo, I didn't really feel like he was a UFC level guy, so he kind of gassed himself out going for the submission, and then Molina knocked him out in the second round. And in his fight against Ayuchi Lang, Ayuchi Lang is not much of a top game player, so he was able to get the takedowns, but didn't have good success holding Molina down. And Molina is a good guy getting up, and I will give him credit in that fight with Porter that I was talking about earlier. In the second round, when Porter got him down in the second, he was able to scramble. He was able to get back up to his feet, and then he forced Porter into a bad takedown, got on top himself, and got the submission. So that's something that Molina has in his back pocket as well. When he gets guys tired, he could draw out the bad takedown attempts and then use his counter grappling. And he's good on top. He's technical on top. He has heavy hips. He has good ground and pound. He has decent submissions, 3 rear naked chokes. He has an arm triangle. And he doesn't really shoot takedowns, but I have seen him shoot reactive takedowns when the pressure is getting to him on the feet. But this fight, I do think he's just going to strike unless Zhalgas wrestles, and then he's going to try to counter grapple. But Zhalgas, he has an interesting style. He's a counter puncher, stands tall, and he has that combat sambo kind of footwork defense. His hands are a bit low, but he's fast. He has good reactions, moves in and out of range pretty well, has good head movement. He is always moving, so it's hard to get him in the pocket and exploit that. And, he really likes to attack the body. He's very good at throwing right hooks and jabs to the body. Then he'll try to kind of lull guys with the shots low and then explode with that big left hook over the top. He loves that counter left hook. He also, has pretty good, body head combinations with the striking. So that's something that he likes to go to. Like he'll throw that, like a right hook to the body, counter left hook over the top. He likes to mix in the big overhand as well. And he's fast. So he has good speed. He's always moving. He's looking to counter you to the body and to the head. He could switch stances. So he's a little bit tricky, and he'll mix in some low kicks, body kicks. He primarily doesn't use kicks too much, but, he has that in his back pocket a little bit. And he doesn't tend to throw a lot of combinations, more 1-2 strikes at a time. So it's going to be a battle of Molina trying to force Zhumagulov to stay in the pocket and, be in longer exchanges, whereas Zhumagulov's going to be trying to land those big punches, get in, get out, and then maybe mix in some wrestling. Zhumagulov is hard to hit clean, and he's showing a good chin, but his last fight he did get put away with a pretty nasty combo against the cage, and he struggled a little bit with the speed of Menifield, even though I feel like he was winning that whole fight until he got clipped. But he's going to have to figure out how to deal with the jab and the low kicks of Molina, which I believe are going to be the most effective strikes for Molina. His last fight, he came with a real heavy pressure game plan, and I think he has to do the same thing to beat Jeff Molina. If Zhumagulov can pressure and throw more volume than he usually does in this fight, make Molina fight off the back foot, then I think that he can mix in the takedowns a little bit easier and kind of have his best path to victory, because I think he can wrestle and mix it up in this fight. He has kind of funky leg trick takedowns, but he has good timing on his doubles, and I think he will probably have the advantage and be able to hold Molina down. If he does get him down, he'll hunt front chokes, and I haven't really seen him take the back or get his hooks in, so I do kind of question if Molina gives his back, if he's going to be able to take the back, or Molina's going to be able to get back up to his feet. But I don't really see Molina trying to take down Zhumagulov, and Zhumagulov has really high level takedown defense. So Zhumagulov has, the cardio, good pacing. He's a veteran, and if he's more aggressive with his wrestling, which I wish he would have been in other fights, then I think he can get the win here. And I'm going to go with Zhumagulov here. I think that his pressure, kind of his awkward striking, being able to mix a couple takedowns, packed into that huge experience advantage, is going to be able to get him to decision victory. Molina's a hot prospect. I expect most people to pick him here or to bet him here, but Molina's a big step down for Zhumagulov. Zhumagulov's probably the best fighter that Jeff Molina has ever fought. Actually, I will say almost definitely the best fighter that he's ever fought, and I think Zhumagulov's going to edge it here in a close decision. And in this next one, we got a fun fight for grappling fans. We got Tony Gravely taking on Johnny Munoz Jr. I'm personally excited for this fight, and it's actually supposed to happen in King of the Cage in 2019. So these guys have known about each other. They've kind of been close to themselves in the rankings for a long time now. So kind of an inevitable matchup, and I do think it's an interesting fight to watch. But personally, like in terms of a betting perspective, I don't really have a ton of interest in the fight. I feel like Tony Gravely is the better all-around fighter by a pretty wide margin. I think he is the superior wrestler, and I also feel like he is the better striker. He's faster. I think he's the better athlete. I think that he has a good game plan in this one, and he will have a good game plan with the American Top Team. It's just whether he follows that game plan. I think he can win, because I think that he has the superior striking. He has that big right hand. He has better movement. And I think he can kind of move around, be in and out, defend the takedowns of Munoz Jr., get him tired, get him frustrated, get him to walk into some punches, maybe even get some late round takedowns and win a pretty clear-cut decision. But one thing about Gravely is he wins all his fights primarily through wrestling, through getting on top, through controlling guys, using his ground and pound, using his pretty good submission game. But the thing about it is, when he's been in there with guys that are really great grapplers, he's gotten caught in submissions quite a few times. A lot of those have been against really good fighters, guys that are in UFC and Bellator, guys that are pretty high-level submission artists, but it still happened. And, obviously, Johnny Munoz Jr., he's a specialist, man. The guy is big for the weight class. He's going to have that advantage. He's going to have a 4-inch height advantage. He's going to have the reach advantage. He's probably going to have a weight advantage. And he has pretty good wrestling himself, but I don't necessarily think he has the wrestling to take down Tony Gravely. He's more of a jiu-jitsu guy. Munoz, he has really wicked chokes. He has really good stuff from the top position. He has good back takes. He has pretty good submissions there. And off his back, he's really slick as well. He has great sweeps. He can submit you from bottom. And he can just control you as well for rounds and win that way also. So I feel like it's kind of be like an IQ test fight with Tony Gravely, and that's where I get a little bit sketched out, because I do think Gravely in the past has shown poor fight IQ. But if you look at, the opponents that both these guys have faced, Gravely has fought, much, much higher level competition. Gravely has been in the UFC for longer. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter and the better wrestler. It's just whether if he goes to the ground early, or if he goes to the ground every round early and every round with Munoz Jr., could be trouble. He could get swept and Jr. could submit him from the top position, or, Jr. could even catch a submission off his back. So for me, I think the smart game plan for Gravely would be to use his speed, use his striking early, maybe get a takedown with 25 seconds left in the round in the first round or something, and then second round maybe get a takedown with a minute left and kind of see where he's at. If you feel him getting a little bit tired, then maybe third round you could wrestle him for the whole round. But I think, you know, have faith in your striking, have faith in your speed and your counter wrestling. Make Munoz tired, you know, outstrike him a little bit, beat him up on the feet, and you can get the win. So I'm going to roll with Gravely in this one to do just that. But it's a fight that, like I said, betting-wise, honestly, if I had to bet it, I probably would just bet on Munoz Jr. by submission and leave it at that, because I think that probably the best bang for your buck, and it's a high likely outcome for this fight as well. But I just think that Gravely is more well-rounded, and he can get the job done if he fights to a good game plan. So going to go with Gravely in this one. I think eventually, you know, he might start to put it all together. I think he has a lot of potential. He has great speed. He mixes it up really well. His striking is a lot more high level than Munoz Jr. And so I'm going to go with him here. And once again, just like the fight earlier I was talking about with Fakardinov, this is another fight where they have it listed as a 155-pound fight. So I guess Benoit-Saint and Nicholas Stoltz are both moving down to 155. They both had their last fight at 170. And man, I mean, this is another fight that I don't really have a super strong opinion on. Don't really have a, you know, great lean in terms of betting or anything like that. So, but Stoltz, you know, he's the fighter that I believe is the superior striker. You know, he has better movement. He's faster. Benoit-Saint, you know, he throws hard strikes. Good front kicks, good round kicks. He has kind of a Muay Thai style. He throws some nice straight punches down the pipe, but kind of very stiff and a little bit like deliberate with the striking. Doesn't throw a lot of feints. His defense is terrible. And if you watch his last fight, I mean, man, it's hard to know how he's going to recover from that. You know, is he going to take a couple shots from Stoltz and go out? But one thing about Saint-Denis that you can't deny is the guy is tough as hell, man. I mean, they call him the God of War, and I think he earned that nickname against Felice Zaleski. You know, I don't think almost any fighter on the roster at 170 could survive that damage and, you know, go to a decision like Benoit-Saint did. So props to him there. But obviously, where Benoit-Saint wants this fight is on the ground. He has decent wrestling, and then when he gets on top, he is very good. He has good submission game. And, you know, Stoltz, he has pretty good anti-grappling. He showed that against Ramzan Emeev, good get-ups. So, you know, this fight, I feel like Stoltz, you know, he has the advantage on the feet, but he can get a little bit lackadaisical as well, leave a lot of openings to be hit, especially early. And against an aggressive fighter that's intense, that brings it, like Benoit-Saint, I could see him getting clipped early and hurt with something, or just get clipped and hit with the bigger shots and lose the round and lose the rounds. And I also think that Saint-Denis could get a takedown in one of these couple rounds, and if he does, maybe he could wear on Stoltz. So I just feel like Saint-Denis is going to be the pick for me, but I wouldn't be surprised if Stoltz used his foot speed and his striking to get the win either. But I'm just going to go with Benoit-Saint-Denis and just watch this fight, enjoy it, and see what happens. And this next one, we got a short notice fight. We got Damon Jackson taking on Daniel Argueta, and I'm happy that they gave Damon Jackson another fight, because he's been calling everyone out on Twitter, and he's been, you know, really trying to get a fight. So I'm glad that they found him an opponent here. David Argueta, you know, he's up against it. He's jumping in on short notice. He's bumping up a weight class. This is going to be his UFC debut. And he did fight on The Ultimate Fighter. He had one fight. He lost to Ricky Turcios. It was a close fight, and Turcios did go on to win the show. So it wasn't necessarily the worst performance, but since then, Argueta has gone back to LFA. He's won 3 fights in a row. He won the bantamweight title in LFA less than a month ago. So the guy's on a roll, and he's a hard-nosed athletic wrestler. He's big for 135. He's missed weight before, so I think he'll be able to fit into 145 if he wants to, but I do think it'll probably be a one-fight thing, because Argueta's style is predicated a lot on being the bigger guy. But you know, I do think that he could stay at 45s and be fine if he wanted to. He is short. He's 5'7". Jackson's going to have a lot of height and reach on him. But I do think Argueta could match the strength of Damon Jackson. And Argueta just fought 5 rounds on May 6th. He went to a split decision. Both guys got busted open. They took some damage. So I don't necessarily know if he's going to be 100% coming into this fight. I doubt that he's been really training hardcore since that fight. Most of David Argueta's fights, the game plan is close the distance with combinations, shoot in, and get him to the ground. And on the feet, he uses a lot of feints. He's fast. He'll try to dart in with the left hook or the straight or overhand right and just get the level change takedown. He'll look to kind of overwhelm guys with pressure, throw combinations, because on the outside, he isn't great. He'll throw some kicks, but he doesn't really set the kicks up very well. He gets hit with shots down the middle. He isn't good when he's pressured. He, has some power, so he's dangerous on the feet, but I feel like Damon Jackson's going to be better at range. I do think Argueta is faster. I think he might have better footwork, and that might give issues to Jackson when he's fresh, starting in and darting out with those hooks and overhands. And I'd feel like maybe try to land a big kill shot early on Jackson. I like how Argueta works the elbows as well, but I think over time, Jackson will be the more technical guy, be able to start landing his 1-2s and straight shots down the pipe and be more effective with the striking. But Argueta is a very physical fighter. He has good doubles. He has good takedowns in the clinch. He has good takedowns on the fence. And this is another entertaining fight, man, with Joe Solecki taking on Alex De Silva, Alex Lecco De Silva. Joe Solecki, he lost his first UFC fight in his last fight, but he still has won 3 of his first 4. And even with the loss, he's still one of the younger fighters in the division who has potential to break into the rankings down the line. He's a great grappler. Comes out of one of, if not the best gym in the South outside of Florida. Florida, it's a lot of transporters at those gyms anyway. So I would argue that in terms of homegrown products, Gym O may be the best gym, in the South. Gym O's produced fighters like Derek Brunson, John Salter, Brian Barberina, Scott Holtzman, Chris Honeycutt, Ricky Rainey, Justine Kish, Joe Solecki. They have the BKFC girl over there, Taylor Starling. Even Chris Weidman is training there now. So, yeah, there's a good blend of wrestlers, brawlers, strikers. So, all the rounds in that gym are hell, man. And Alex Lecco De Silva, he's another guy that, even though he's 1-2 in the UFC, I think he could potentially get ranked and become a higher level guy as well. He fought Brad Riddell in September of 2020. He had a good showing, but he lost that fight. And he was 24, then he's 26 now. He's taking some time off. And I definitely think that Lecco De Silva could have improved during that time off. And I'm excited to see how he's going to come back because he's a great athlete and he's a well-rounded fighter. So this fight, I'm interested in this fight. I like this fight. I think, obviously, Joe Solecki, he only really has one way to win all his fights, and that's through getting the takedown, either controlling you to a decision or trying to take your back and lock in that, rear strangle. And, I think Alex Lecco De Silva has way more ways to win. I think on the feet, Joe Solecki is a little bit slow. I think De Silva has a big speed advantage. And Solecki he likes to switch stance a lot, and he likes to switch stance, throw the either the lead hook or the overhand, the rear overhand. So that's kind of all he does on the feet. He doesn't like being hit either. You notice that in a lot of his fights, like he's got knocked out against Nicholas Moda, but if you watch his fight, for instance, with Jim Miller, when he got clipped in the first round with a nice little shot, he shot in on a bad takedown immediately, got reversed, got put on his back, lost the first round. You see him when he gets hit, he wants to wrestle immediately and get it to the ground. So I don't think he necessarily has a lot of faith in either his chin or just He just doesn't like getting hit too much. But Alex Lecco de Silva, I think on the feet is way better. I mean, the guy is a lot faster. He throws real nice straight punches down the middle. He has good kicks as well. Very, pretty good power, and he's long. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage in this one. And I think that on the feet, he's going to be a lot better than Solecki. I think the leg kicks are going to be a big issue. And I think just the straight punches and the speed overall. And then Lecco de Silva has a really good grappling as well. I've seen him against good grapplers and be able to hit sweeps, get on top, get back up to his feet. His takedown defense and balance is really good. His cardio is a little bit questionable, but I think he has better cardio than Solecki. I think Solecki slows down a little bit more. And Lecco has a good submission game, good guillotines. He is good when he can take the back as well. And I actually believe that Alex de Silva is the more physical guy and the better wrestler. I think Joe Solecki is the better submission grappler when he can get on top. But Solecki, he has shown in previous fights that if you can put him on his back, he doesn't really have a big sweep threat there. He doesn't really have a big submission threat there. And he doesn't really have great get-ups. So Lecco could even bake around by getting on top and controlling him as well. Some people do point to that fight where Lecco de Silva got submitted against Alexander Yakovlev, and they say that Solecki's going to be able to catch a submission due to that. But for one, I've never seen Solecki throw up a guillotines like that before. I guess I did see him try to get a guillotine on in his last fight against Jared Gordon towards the end of the round, but it wasn't really even close. And he doesn't have that big threat off of his back in terms of submissions. I don't think he's going to find it that easy to take down De Silva and put him on the back. De Silva just has to be careful not to give up his back. I mean, if Joe Solecki gets the back, he definitely can get the rear naked choke, and he's probably going to win the round with his control. So that's the one position where Lecco can't get. But I think that he could definitely be on top and control Solecki, and I think that he could definitely get back up to his feet if he's taken down. He just can't give his back. So I just feel like De Silva has definitely more ways to win. I think that time, between when he got guillotined and now is pretty significant. He was like 22, 23. That was his first UFC fight. He had to travel to Russia for that one. And now he's 26. I think that he's proven in other fights that he's good submission defense. I don't think Solecki is going to catch him. And I think Alex de Silva is either going to be able to get the knockout or submit or decision win. So I'm going to pick Alex de Silva via decision in this one. Man, I mean, what do you want me to say about this one? We got KK. She's going to be taking on Felice Herrig. And, yeah, I mean, Felice Herrig, the last time she won a fight was December of 2017, UFC 218, when I believe it was Holloway versus Aldo 2. And the last time KK won a fight, Karolina Kowaliewicz, was, I think, it was in 2018. It was Khabib versus Argueta, I believe, and she actually beat Felice Herrig. That was like UFC 223. So both these girls, they haven't won in almost 5 years. The last time that Karolina won was against Felice Herrig. So obviously this is a rematch, and the first fight was a close decision as well. But back then when they first fought, Felice Herrig was on a big win streak. Karolina, I believe she was coming off a loss, but she was obviously still highly ranked in the division, so it was a big time fight. Now it's like, man, I don't know. I mean, Felice Herrig, she had I believe like double or 2 or 3 knee surgeries, and came back, fought Virna Jandiroba, looked atrocious in that fight, got submitted in the first round, and then took off almost another 2 years before this scheduled date. And for Karolina Kowaliewicz, she's had some dreadful performances her last 3 fights and just looked horrible. Lost 5 fights in a row. The last time she fought, she got submitted quickly in the first round against Jessica Panay. So, I mean, man, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to really pick this fight, but the only breakdown I'm going to get for this fight is that I think that Karolina is a little bit stronger, and her striking maybe is a little better, like, from the first fight, so I'm going to go with Karolina. But, yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea who's going to win this fight, how they're going to look. I don't know how anyone can be confident in either side. But I'm just going to go with Karolina. She's fought more recently, I believe. She has a win more recently. She has the win over Felice. I think she's a little bit more skillful. I see her training with Joanna. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Karolina. And up next with this fight, we got a light heavyweight fight with Alonzo Menifield taking on Askar Mozharov. And I'm not too sure about this Askar Mozharov guy. I'm a little bit suspect of him because he has like different records on every single website, like Sherdog, Tapology. He on UFC even has a different website, like on their profile. And you know, earlier in the week, I believe, like even yesterday, I thought that his record on Tapology was 25-7. Now they've switched it to 22-11. So pretty significant difference between 25-7 to 21-11. But from what I saw from Mozharov, I mean, the guy has a super padded record, and he seems like he's one of these guys that's super athletic. He comes out really fast early, throws a lot of wild strikes, like spinning attacks. He looks like a pretty technical striker, but kind of a glass cannon in my opinion. It seemed like when he got taken down, he would kind of give up a little bit. He didn't have really great punch resistance, and I don't know. I don't feel like I have the best read on this Mozharov guy. I don't think he necessarily might. I think he might not be a UFC level fighter, but what he does have is size, speed, and danger factor early. So I think he's going to go out there and try to get the kill with a spinning kick or, big 1-2, big overhand, big body kick early, try to get the knockout. And, maybe I could be wrong and Mozharov has more than I believe he's offering. But to me, I feel like he's one of these kind of one-round guys that has a chance to get the knockout or not. And Alonzo Menifield, he's also kind of been a fighter that has disappointed during his UFC run. His last fight was a real disappointment where he ended up losing in a fight that he probably should not have lost against William Knight. And he's going to have to bounce back from that. But I think Menifield, he's been in the UFC for a while now. He's fought guys that have been ranked and some higher level guys. And he's proven that he's at least a UFC level fighter. He has, decent chin. He has some power. He's explosive. He has pretty good leg kicks, good overhands. And when he gets on top, he has a decent submission game, good control. And I think in this fight, he just has to try to get Mozharov down early, try to maybe avoid those big kicks, take him down off the kicks. And I think if he gets on top, he can get the finish. So Mozharov's kind of going to have to prove it to me that he's a UFC level fighter. So I'm going to go with Menifield by first round finish, either submission or TKO on the ground. And this fight should be a fun one. It's going to be a striking fight with Zarrukh Adashev taking on Osbourne. And I do think that Adashev is a little bit underrated. I mean, the guy has pretty good striking. He has good speed, good feints. He has nice footwork, and he tries to pull these fighters into these counter hooks, counter overhands. He will attack the body and then come up to the head. He has good spinning kicks, and he's fast. He's real like shifty. He's always moving around, and I do feel like though he's one of these guys that even for 125 is a little bit small. I think that Adashev, if there was an atom weight, maybe he could even make that weight class. And sometimes he struggles with the reach and the distance. We saw that in his fight with Zhumagulov. Even though he had some success against Zhumagulov, he struggled to close that gap. Zhumagulov was able to hit him with some power crosses. He was able to knock down Adashev. And we saw against Tyson Nam in his UFC debut, even though I don't really hold that fight against him too much. He came in on short notice, missed weight, looked really out of shape. He got knocked out quickly with a power right cross in that one. And I've seen him mix in some takedowns, but those were against like real low-level opponents. I don't necessarily see him being able to take down UFC-level fighters. Osbourne, he is a real tall, long, rangy, fast striker. He's fast twitch. He has the good ability to throw pull twos. He has nice flying knees. And he does hold his hands low and like to kind of go forward, feint, get guys to throw at him so he could, slip and rip, pull counter. And he has fast 1-2s. He has good power and a lot of first-round finishes, a lot of early knockouts. He also, if you take him down as a good guard, he has good submissions off bottom. So that's another thing that he's good with. And he is a little bit hittable, I believe. In his fight with Manel Cape, he got caught with a flying knee and knocked out. But I think that the difference in this fight with Adashev is just going to be the range. I think that O'Day's, with his length, is going to be a little bit too much. I think he's going to be able to catch Adashev is just trying to close the distance with those crosses and, just be a little bit crisper and more powerful than Adashev. And I think he'll get the decision win. I think Adashev is a real tough guy, even though he got clipped and knocked out early against Tyson Nam. For O'Day to beat him, I think he's going to have to clip him and knock him out real early, or I think that Adashev is going to try to make it a war, and I do think he'll have some success, but I just think Osbourne will land the bigger shots, the better shots, and be able to win the decision. And in this next one, we got a fight that's a little bit tough to call here. Poliana Botelho taking on Karine Silva. Karine Silva is a girl that is a killer, you know, like her nickname. She's finished, I believe, all of her victories. She has 8 knockouts. She has 6 submissions, and her game plan in every fight is to use her size, use her strength, get the fight to the ground, and go to work with their submission game and with her ground and pound. And she's pretty effective with that. But she has fought a lot of girls with 0-0 records and girls that didn't belong in the cage with her, so it makes it a little bit skewed. Her last fight, she did get a real nice submission win over a good Chinese prospect, so that was a good victory for her. But Silva does also have a couple losses where she got submitted pretty quickly, and I haven't really seen her on her back, like held down. You know, I've seen her on her back and throw up a submission and get the finish real quick, but I do question if, you know, she gets taken down, if someone gets stuffed for submissions and hold her down, and she'll just lay on her back and give up the fight that way. With Poliana Botelho, that's a girl that I've not really been too impressed with. You know, she has struggled with this style of fighter, which is a wrestler grappler. She's lost them multiple times in her UFC career. She lost to Jillian Robertson. She lost to Calvillo. But I do think that Botelho doesn't have the worst grappling. I mean, she's strong. She was able to beat Pro Gonzalez by kind of holding her against the cage. Good clinch game. And she's going to want to use that clinch game, you know, because Silva, I believe, on the feet is more aggressive. Even though Botelho's better, Silva pressures and throws heat, and I think that's going to give Botelho some kind of issues, because Botelho tries to stay technical and tries to, you know, throw, like, long strikes, but she's very heavy on her lead leg. She's very hittable, and I don't think she likes getting into wars and things like that. So I feel like Silva on the feet will get the advantage, and Botelho's going to want to get into that clinch and control, and it's going to be either Botelho in a boring clinch fest for 3 rounds, or Silva's going to be able to catch that submission. So I'm going to go with the newcomer, Karine Silva. I just think she has more, you know, vigor to win in this fight, and that's why she gets the victory. I think she has, making her UFC debut, more to fight for. Botelho, I think she kind of middled out in the division. She's almost 34. I think Silva, she is going to have more intensity, and that's going to get her the win, and I think she'll get the submission. So I'm going to go with Karine Silva. And this next one here, we got a fight with Mike Trizano taking on Lucas Almeida. And I'm excited for this fight. I'm excited to see Almeida, and especially at 145 pounds. I think he could be a beast at that weight. He is a very intense pressure fighter. He's heavy-handed. He has really nice leg kicks. He throws real nice body head combos, real power hooks on the inside, nice elbows, good knees. The issue with Almeida is he can get dropped and caught coming in. His defense could definitely be better, and he likes to brawl. And I think Trizano, with the footwork, with the jab, with the straight punches, is going to be trying to counter and catch Almeida coming in and hurt him. And Almeida's going to be trying to overwhelm with the leg kicks and the combinations. And Almeida struggled with guys taking him down and holding him down. I think he's improved in terms of his get-ups. In his last fight, he got a real nice ninja choke guillotine finish. So I think that his submission game is improving as well. And I don't really envision Trizano trying to take him down, so I don't think he has that threat here. And both these guys have tremendous cardio. I've seen Almeida go 5 rounds and push the pace, get the finish in the 5th. And Trizano has good cardio as well. I think Trizano, you know, obviously has the experience in terms of UFC experience, but he hasn't been very active in recent years. And I think that last fight with Hakeem Dawodu, I think Almeida could do the same thing in terms of, I don't think he's quite as technical. I think he'll make it more of a brawl, make it more of a wild fight than Dawodu did. But I think that the leg kicks could be very effective for Almeida. And I think just the pressure, the combinations, I think that he's going to throw more heat and more volume. And Trizano does have a really nice jab. He has some counter striking, but I think Almeida can shut down the jab with the low kicks. I think he can get the overall better of Trizano with the striking. I think he can control the center, kind of boss the fight, which looks good for the judges as well. And I think he's going to be a big guy that packs a lot of power at 45. So give me Lucas Almeida here to get his win in his UFC debut. And the co-main event here, we got a really great fight. We got 50K Dan Ige, who, got to commend this guy. This guy's willing to fight anyone and anyone in the division. He has, been in there with the best of the best, and now he's given the opportunity to a guy I'm sure no one wants to fight in Movsar Evloev. Movsar Evloev, he making his return after kind of, I don't know if he had an injury or exactly, I don't remember exactly what happened, but he had a beef with Ilia Topuria where they were talking back and forth, talking shit, and both undefeated prospects. That was a hype fight, but Evloev had to pull out, and that was where Ilia missed weight, and he never fought either, so that fight got scrapped. Hopefully they can end up fighting down the line, but now he's going to be fighting Dan Ige here. He's going to be fighting a guy that's higher up in the rankings, that is a little bit more of a name than Topuria, so it worked out in the end for Evloev, and he's a big favorite as well, and I think for good reason. I mean, you look at Dan Ige, he's a great grappler, but he has that issue with guys taking him down. I mean, Korean Zombie, just in his last fight, took him down for 5 straight rounds and controlled him and won the fight that way. I do think that Ige on the feet, I mean, the guy's an issue. He has pretty good boxing. He comes forward. He's very durable, and he throws heat. I mean, the guy's big power, so that's where Evloev has to be careful. I mean, the one way that Dan Ige could win this fight is by knockout. He could catch him and put him to sleep. And Evloev, he's had some issues getting hit. His defense isn't really the greatest, but he's a guy that has a great chin, at least so far in his career, and he's willing to dig in there and go and brawl with guys. He throws good volume. He's coming out of Tiger Muay Thai, so he has pretty good technical striking, and he pushes the pace, wild pace. He has great cardio, and mainly just tries to take you down and control you. And Ige, even though he's a black belt jiu-jitsu, when Ige gets on top, he's a beast, great rear naked chokes. He struggles on bottom, and that's where Evloev is going to put him, and I just feel like that's going to be the tail of the fight. I think he gets a chance to get the knockout early, but if he doesn't get that knockout early, he gets put on bottom. It's going to be rinse and repeat, I believe, for the rest of the fight, and I think that's what the line indicates, and for good reason. I think Evloev just going to take him down and, be able to grind him out over 3 rounds. So give me Movsar Evloev in this co-main event to kind of break onto the scene and get close to where he's going to be becoming a title contender here. And with the main event here, we got a heavyweight fight. We got Alexander Volkov taking on Jairzinho, Rozenstruik. And honestly, I wouldn't have been opposed to the UFC flipping the co-main event and the main event for this card and putting Ige and Movsar 5 rounds. But they're going to put the heavyweights at 5 rounds, and obviously they're higher ranked. But I'm honestly not too intrigued with this fight. I mean, we got 2 heavyweight strikers. I think Volkov is longer, throws more volume, more technical guy, better mover. He's going to be able to probably be winning the fight the whole time until he's losing, if he does lose. And Rozenstruik just has that one-hitter quitter. He has good counter-punching, really nice jab, very patient pressure fighter, good cardio, proven over 5 rounds. And he just waits for that kill shot. And when he lands it, a lot of time his opponents go to sleep. So kind of going to be the case of if Volkov is going to be able to use his volume, attack the body, get Jairzinho tired, move around, and avoid that knockout shot, or is Jairzinho Rozenstruik going to land that one-shot KO over the course of the 5 rounds and win the fight by knockout? So it's kind of what I think is how it's going to go down. I mean, I think Volkov's going to be winning the whole fight potentially until he gets knocked out, and I feel like he's going to be able to avoid that, the Rozenstruik bomb and get the decision win. So for me, I think it's going to be kind of a lackluster main event, and I think Volkov's going to win with some minimal strikes on the outside. Maybe you'll have some moments where it'll get dicey for both guys, but I think Volkov is just going to be a little bit more technical. But, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked at all if Rozenstruik lands one big shot at some point the fight and knocks him out. So one of these fights, I don't think, either guy has, like, a clear path to victory, a clear victory. I think that either guy could win. I think it's a close fight. But I'm just going to go with Volkov here because I think he's a little bit more technical. He's bigger, better cardio, and I think if he attacks the body early, whereas on Rozenstruik, he can kind of take away a little bit of that power, and he's going to be throwing the more volume. So he just can't get caught. If he doesn't get caught, he's going to win the fight. So I'm going to go with Volkov, but once again, this is one of my lesser confident picks on the card, along with a couple of the other ones that I stated. And as far as my most confident pick goes in my parlay of the week, for my most confident pick, I'm going to go with Damon Jackson. And, full disclosure, I actually did have a parlay with Damon Jackson early in the week. And I parlayed him with Movsar Evloev, but he was like a minus 400 when I bet on him. Now he's ballooned up to like minus 600. So the parlay I'm going to give you guys is I'm going to bet a parlay with Alonzo, Menifield, and Askar Mozharov under 1.5 rounds, parlayed with Movsar Evloev, and that's going to be my part of the week for you guys. So hopefully we get cash, and if you want to bet that other parlay as well, even if it's a little bit juice at this point, you could bet that one also, and you know, get a kind of a 2-for-1 there. So thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Like I said at the beginning of this video, we're coming off almost coming off over 30 unit month in terms of profit for MMA last month for May. So if you want to check out the Patreon for all my bets for this card, I got 9 bets available now for bets for LFA, for Titan FC, for Octagon MMA this week potentially. So check that out, the Patreon at patreon.com/NBA Prediction Guru if you're interested in that. If you're just interested in supporting the channel, getting some additional content, then I really appreciate everyone's there and everyone that's going to go there. And then, like I said at the beginning of the video, hit the like button, put a comment down below, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Let's try to get to 60K subscribers. Love all you guys, appreciate all the support, and I'll talk to you guys later.